All right, let's get to phone calls here. Bob, a Republican in Ashland, Ohio. You're up first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that this tax break on Social Security is a big mistake. You know, they're talking about we're going to have to do stuff to fix it. The way I look at it is a fund that has been butchered over the years, and that taking it out of there just to make another stimulus is ridiculous.
So you're talking about the payroll tax holiday, extending that. You oppose that?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
I mean, you know, that money's for Social Security. Using it to prop up something else is just another way of opening up the bank for them to dish out whatever they want.
Max Richmond, do you agree?
I think Bob is dead right. This diversion of Social Security payroll tax is an enormous problem. You know, you mentioned the difficulties of Social Security and that this money would have to be paid back. These bonds would have to be back. So why in the world are we now even contemplating taking another $100 to $200 billion out of this program that will have to be paid back? It's an enormous mistake. The reason Social Security has had such strong, enduring, universal support, nearly universal, is because it's paid for. It's an earned program. I wish that we would stop talking about Social Security as an entitlement, because when you think of it that way, it's almost as if a retiree receives Social Security because that retiree exists. That retiree paid for this. It's an earned benefit.
All right, we'll go to Rochester, Michigan. Paul, Democratic caller, you're next. Paul,
yes,
good morning.
Thank you for your organization, and I support you totally. I have a problem in that every Republican that I know seems to be sort of against Social Security. They want to undo FDR's programs, which actually it's actually saved my mother, saved myself. I'm a retired Vietnam vet. It's really helped all our lives. I don't understand how these younger people, many of them, are buying the lie that Social Security is socialism. I think it's one of the greatest things that's ever occurred in our country.
All right, those are Paul's thoughts. Here's Peg in Arizona with this email. How is your Don't Touch Social Security or Medicare or else any different from Grover Norquist's Don't Increase Taxes or else?
Well, you know, I know one of the media outlets in Washington referred to not our campaign, but that approach as, quote, thuggery. You know, representing, I don't know who Grover Norquist represents, but we represent 3.5 million seniors. Most of them are seniors. They're voters. We did a poll, a very, I think, thoughtful poll conducted by a Democratic pollster and a Republican pollster. There is almost across the board opposition. There is opposition by people of all political stripes. Clear majorities oppose cutting Social Security and Medicare to address the deficit. So what we're representing, I think, is the views of the American people, the majority of the American people, and there's nothing. That's what democracy is all about.
Okay, Richard, excuse me, independent in Floral Park, New York. You're next.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I just want to let Mr. Richtman know that the $2.7 trillion that they have in the trust fund was actually money stolen from the system. And you have no intention of repaying that $2.7 trillion. And the intention is shown by the fact that you're going to raise the age and lower the benefits. So you're telling us that the $2.7 trillion is not going to be repaid. And the only thing that shows that it's not going to, that it's hurting them, that you're not going to repay it, is that they're having to pay out the cash quicker than they thought. You know.
Max Bertrand?
Well, let me just say that everybody who's ever been entitled to Social Security benefits has received them on time, in full. This program has a pretty good record. I think it's up to us, the caller, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, the media, to explain this program accurately. It is an earned benefit, and I think politicians need to understand that this is a program that people paid for. It's not welfare, and they will feel the pressure to make sure this money is repaid. Every penny that's ever been put in the trust fund, including last year when there was not enough revenue coming in the payroll tax, has been available for benefits. We are determined, as the second largest senior group in the country, to make sure that continues.
And by the way, the Senate expected to vote as early as Friday on whether or not to extend this payroll tax holiday and lower it to 3.1%. So that's the debate happening in the Senate this week. Let me go back to Medicare, if I could. Here is an email from a viewer. Medicare will eat the budget alive if there are not corrections. What do you propose to do to reform Medicare?
I think the Affordable Care Act that's just been in place for a short time has many provisions to hold down the cost of Medicare. We should not, I think, we should not be cutting Medicare by another $500 billion when a lot of the cost savings in the Affordable Care Act haven't even begun to have not been put in place or are just being put in place. I think we need to see how that plays out. There are ways to cut back on the cost of Medicare, but having beneficiaries pay more out of their pockets when and receive less from Social Security, that's a mistake.
Here is, according to the Congressional Budget Office, the projection for Medicare and Medicaid, Medicare being the light green color, Medicaid the darker green color, and their rapid projection growth by 2020. This is the line for 2010, and you can see where it goes from there by 2020. If the Congress were to come to some sort of deal on Medicare in the coming weeks or months, and they were to put forward a premium support deal like we talked about, is your organization, as the second largest senior group, prepared to spend another $2 million to try to influence Congress to stop them from doing some sort of deal?
Well, I don't know if we would spend $2 million. That's a lot of money for us, but we would definitely do everything within our power to oppose the premium support or voucherizing Medicare program. And I think that the voices of the American people were heard loud and clear in the last 3 months. And I'm hoping that members of Congress will heed those warnings that were issued by our group and other groups. Just to comment on your chart, yes, it's accurate. I didn't look at it carefully, but the cost of these programs, Medicare and Medicaid, sure, are skyrocketing. But the problem is not Medicare and Medicaid. The problem is health care costs. And the Affordable Care Act took a big step towards controlling those costs. But more needs to be done, not by squeezing the middle class and seniors, but by controlling health care costs overall. That would be the more sensible approach, and maybe that's what I should have mentioned to the previous caller.
Okay, we'll go to Bonnie next. She's a Republican in Street, Maryland. Go ahead, Bonnie. Morning, Bonnie, you're on the air.
I have a question maybe you can answer. I've asked my senators, and please don't cut me off. In 2007, I was in a wreck. A drunk driver hit me. After 2 years of fighting it, I got Medicaid. All right, it paid for everything. I get less than $600 a month now. And once I turned 65, they took me off of Medicaid, put me on Medicare. Now I pay $97 a month for my Medicare. I pay a co-payment on all my prescriptions because I have a tumor. Before I went on Medicare, it paid for my glasses because my one eye was messed up. I called for new ones, and hey, guess what? Medicare doesn't pay for glasses. Before you turn 65, I mean, you want to cut Medicare back. What about Medicaid? It pays for everything. That's where it should be cut, not the seniors, because you go to a nursing home and you see these people no teeth. They can't see because he doesn't pay for the glasses. Seniors are just stuck in a corner, and they're of no use to the country because they can't work or nothing. So, big deal. We'll just keep raising Medicare. Don't give them no more Social Security because you got to fight for it for 2 years before you can get it.
All right, Bonnie, we'll leave it there. Max Richman.
Well, that's a lot of issues from one caller. Let me just make 2 points in partial response. Medicaid is a program that's very important to seniors. It's not the poor. 62% of Medicaid expenditures are devoted to nursing home and long-term care, and that is primarily seniors and the disabled. So I think seniors, I know our members are beginning to understand that Medicaid is not just a program for the poor, but it's a program for those people who will become poor when they spend an average of $75,000 in a nursing home and end up having to count on Medicaid. As for the point, she made a good point about what Medicare does not cover. Does not cover glasses, does not cover hearing aids, does not cover dental, batteries to hearing aids. These things are so important to the quality of life and the health of a human being. And even in these times of tight times, budget times for all these programs, including Medicare, we have begun a project to look at how we can expand the program. I know it may sound ridiculous to some, but it's important to begin, how we can expand the program to cover hearing, dental, vision, things that are so crucial. And we have created a foundation, the National Committee Foundation, that is committed to raising these issues so that at some point the Congress can respond.